constitutional adjudication or application. And my thesis there is that the task or enterprise of constitutional adjudication consists of applying the original linguistic public meaning of the document to lawsuits in which there's presented a question of constitutional meaning on which the resolution of the dispute turns. Now, that's not something you would have to do, and you would have to, I draw a distinction between interpreting documents and deciding to apply it and how to apply it. And of course, there are some slips, some further steps between understanding what the document means and what you do with it in practice. And that's my distinction between interpretation and appropriation, or if you're going to be technical about it, academic-y. The distinction I draw is between exegesis of the text and hermeneutics, how you appropriate it and apply it in concrete circumstances. It roughly tracks onto Larry Solom's distinction between interpretation and construction, but I think it's actually a more precise term, because construction tends to bleed over into what we understand as interpretation, and interpretation, the two have become so mushed together, notwithstanding Keith Whittington's excellent attempts to keep them separate, that I think the actual distinction is between textual exegesis, understanding the meaning of the words, and then hermeneutics, what you choose to do with them once you get the meaning. Okay? So first, 5 minutes, 6 minutes on the task of interpretation. I think the task of interpretation is to ascertain the objective original public meaning of the text, the meaning the words would have had to ordinary speakers and readers of the English language at about the time that they were doing it. Now, I think it is an objective inquiry into textual meaning. Now, I think there's something to be said for the fact that original public meaning, textual interpretation, is somewhat derivative or a successor, or parasitic is probably too strong a term, of intentionalism. I think it's a successor theory in part because if you are interpreting a text, the theory is you're not trying to ascertain anyone in particular's intention or understanding, because presumably the task of producing a written constitution was designed to reduce the understanding or intention to some sort of linguistic artifact, right? To boil it down to a set of words that we could all read and attempt to understand. Now, the task of understanding what that is basically makes it the interpretive enterprise not one of figuring out what anybody in particular meant, still less what we would like it to mean, okay? But the task of sort of constructing an objective meaning. It's actually very close to what Gary Lawson described and what Saul Cornell